Hey everyone! Today I'll be ranking all of the passive cards in Blocktails. This is the second part of me ranking all the cards. If you're interested in my ranking on active cards, I'll link it in the description and up here. As for this video, the passive cards I will be ranking are only cards relating to battles. So no cards like Speedy Spin or I Spy, or any of the hard mode cards for that matter, since those are detrimental to you. In addition, training wheels won't be included, since it's more of a learning tool. Finally, this video isn't a definitive list. If there's anything you don't agree with, let me know in the comments. With that said, let's get this video started, and I hope you enjoy. HP Drain has a seemingly nice sounding effect, being able to heal 1 HP every successful attack. However, the -1 attack it gives makes it much harder to use. 1 HP isn't all that much, and the lower damage will probably give the enemies more turns to attack you. 2 copies of this card is okay due to the attack debuff staying the same, but this is a card I still don't really recommend. Safeguard is more situational than you'd think. It only increases your blocking effectiveness, which could be nice, but it's only 10% extra damage reduction, and it costs 2 BP to boot. Most enemies' damage with 1 copy won't even be reduced, since they would need to hit you for 10 damage in 1 hit. Also, Superguarding just exists. Overall, a super situational card that right now is just too expensive. SP Regen Plus has similar problems to Safeguard. Its use cases aren't as niche though. Using Defend or Pass to get some extra SP can come in quite handy sometimes. However, it's mainly because when you Pass or Defend, that's a turn you're not attacking using an item or an ability. And this card costs 2 BP, making it again quite expensive for its value. SP Drain has better uses than HP Drain in my opinion. Everything about HP Drain can be said here. However, more supportive builds can use this to increase their SP recovery, using moves like Cure and Resurrect without worrying about the damage penalty. This can be nice for this specific use. However, for most other cases, it's nothing to write home about. Investor is a generally good card. Its only use is to gain more ticks at the end of a battle, which is only really good for farming to get cards and items from shops. Not much else to say besides that. Besides, yes, it was very useful for me specifically, since I need to rank all these cards. Refund is a lot like Investor. However, it refunds 20% of the value of an item back to you instead. So if the item you consumed costs 20 ticks, you'll be given 4 back. What makes this place slightly above Investor is the fact that this card only costs 1 BP, whereas Investor costs 2. Thorns used to be amazing in demo too, until the nerfs. Now its downsides are much more prevalent, dealing 1 extra damage to enemies hitting you with a single hit contact attack. This can add up more than you think, especially against bosses that can attack multiple times like Komodo Dragon. However, most of the harder bosses and enemies don't tend to use these kinds of moves specifically. And the negatives. The guarding window reduction is okay, however the -1 defense will make you take more damage from enemies. This card can be strong, but it takes a lot of work to do so. Defender is a pretty good option for any wannabe support player, costing 1 less BP than Defend Plus at the cost of -1 attack. This can really save BP for other useful cards in the long run. However, for other players, the attack stat is rather important. Giving that up may not be an option, and most would rather use Defend Plus. That, and the cost difference isn't too high when you have 30 BP to work with. Still though, a great option for those who don't need to attack. These cards can be interchanged. HP and SP Plus are pretty standard cards. All it does is convert 1 level's worth of BP and gives you a level's worth of HP or SP. These cards are great filler cards for the early to mid game if you have spare BP and don't know what to use it on. These cards are a little more redundant, however, due to the ability of respeccing stats in the library. however, are still nice temporary fixes to early builds. Deep Focus seems rather situational, but has many use cases. Unlike HP and SP, items and especially cards that restore sword energy are quite hard to come by. Not only that, you can get a lot of utility from sword energy. Ice Dagger for HP and SP gain, Ghostwalker to phase through scarier attacks, as well as the Venom Shank and Firebrand for damage and debuffs. Supports tend to use this as Focus is already a good option for them, but this has use cases even outside of that playstyle. Happy HP provides some nice passive recovery, giving 1 HP every other turn, 2 if you're using 2 copies. The impact may seem rather small, but this does add up over time, especially in much longer battles like bosses or floors in the pit. Not only that, unlike HP Drain, you don't feel a negative impact when using this card. The nice bonus, as well as the cheap BP cost, make this card pretty decent. Item Plus is a relatively high cost card, costing 3 BP. Before Demo 4, this card was okay, however now that there are a lot better options when it comes to items, this card starts to shine. When you have readily accessible items that restore 20 HP or 20 SP with Pitter and Hummus respectively, it will restore 26 HP or SP instead, a much bigger impact than before. That, and it makes damaging items more effective too. Overall, its cost is a little high, but if you use items a lot, you'll be able to make good use out of this. Anchor is a pretty solid card if your survivability is low. Once per battle, when you die, you will restore 10 HP to all party members. Unlike a lot of passives, this has a lot of immediate impact. Not only that, but you could intentionally use Sacrifice Plus, restoring people's HP, reviving them, and adding an extra 10 HP on top of that. You can even get multiple copies of this card. There are multiple situations where you can use this card, however you will need a full party for its full effect and a strategy for using it. Happy SP is better than Happy HP in my opinion. Like SP Drain, this is much better for supports, as they need much less SP than HP due to moves like Cure. Unlike SP Drain, this is passive SP Restoration. You don't need to focus on attacking for low damage with this, but instead using your own downtime on focusing or using items. This is also great for sword and ball users, enabling them to use their better attacks against enemies much more often. All that for a low cost is what makes it so strong. Admittedly, Cannonball is pretty situational. This is only usable by anyone using ball. Being able to hit spiky enemies as well as enemies that are on fire may seem rather situational. However, this enables baller builds that actually use the ball to be self-sufficient, not needing to rely on the other attacks to get past its weakness. That, and there are plenty of spiky enemies throughout the game, so you're bound to find this card useful when using the ball. Both of these are interchangeable. Being able to restore 1 extra HP or SP after a battle is a very nice small bonus. However, these cards have less impact than both Happy HP and SP, so why are they higher? Simple. These cards cost absolutely 0 BP to equip. Yep, 0. You may as well equip these since they're literally free. You can have up to 3 of each, although HP Finder is currently a bit annoying to get. These cards are just good to have on you. Lucky Start gives a random buff at the start of the battle. These buffs can be health, SP or energy regen, +2 thorns or +2 defense, all lasting 3 turns. It is a little RNG to get what you want, but all of the buffs are strong in their own right. HP and SP regen are great to get when in multiple encounters. Energy regen can help the team get sword skills early, and defense is just overall solid. There are no downsides to this card really, besides the 3 BP cost. Overall though, no matter what, this card can help a lot. Out of the 2 class cards, overall, Knight is slightly weaker than Baller. This is mainly due to the fact that Sword and Slingshot tend to have high base damage and don't need attack buffs as much. That and their lack of AoE outside of Sword's Daze card, you won't be getting much extra value out of it. Still, Knight is really strong, just having one extra attack for 3 BP can be super helpful. Slingshot and Sword can definitely work on their own, making this card an overall good option. Power Rush is an extremely great card, very similarly to the Paper Mario games. When your HP is below 25%, your attack will be increased by 1. Like those games too, you have ways to forcibly trigger this, like with Pity SP, Sacrifice, and even the Auto Revive of Resurrect, all for only 1 BP. Well, I hear you're asking, if this card is so great, why doesn't it rank higher? Only one copy currently exists in the game, making it much lower impact than it would be otherwise. I can see Power Rush becoming the new meta if this wasn't the case, but as it stands, number 6 isn't bad at all. Alright, bit of a hot take, I imagine. Defend Plus is a pretty underrated card in my eyes. Think about it, every time you get hit, this card reduces your damage taken by 1. A much better option than Safeguard. This passive snowballs hard, especially against multi-hit attacks or long battles. Even though this passive costs 4 BP to equip, it's great for any build to use. Supports and even DPS builds will find this card to be great. Baller is the better of the two class cards in my opinion. This is due to Launcher and Ball needing damage more than the rest of the cards. Launcher has passive AoE, while Baller gets line bounce. Both enjoy getting their damage boosted a lot. Launcher is especially reliant on getting a lot of extra attack, although the splash damage caps at 3, this is useful against enemies with defense. Overall, despite Knight and Baller being as good as one another, Baller is slightly better due to Baller and Launcher benefiting more from the attack bonuses. Anti-Up, costing 4 BP and giving +1 attack. The catch? A halved attack window, as well as making you deal 0 damage if you fail the command. This downside sounds bad, however a lot of weapon types take advantage of this. Launcher already does no damage on a missed command, and it's telegraphed well enough for you to time just fine. Slingshot just requires you to spam space a little faster too. Sword and Ball are a little harder to time in comparison, but it can be done with enough practice. Anti-Up is used in maximizing damage for certain builds, and if you know what you're doing, has the potential to be a very strong card, but due to its general difficulty, places here. Another hot take potentially? SP Saver is just a really nice card to have no matter what build you're using. Want cheaper support actions? Sure. Want to be able to spam Sword and Ball skills that cost SP as long as you have some SP regen? Absolutely. Unfortunately, this doesn't make 1 SP skills like Sword Toss cost 0 SP. That would be a little too much. However, this card really helps you save SP in longer fights, but I would say the impact on more expensive cards is a little low. Still though, this is a great for conserving SP for drawn out fights, or multiple fights in a row. A very solid card that I encourage you to check out again. Aggressor. The card that makes a Paper Mario game with Earthbound elements into just Paper Mario. That for a +1 attack bonus makes this card a lot more valuable to most people, as using Anti-Up seems a little daunting to some players. Now, this card isn't free. Against enemies and bosses that deal a lot of damage in a single turn, this card can be dangerous to use. The ticking HP bar gives you a lot of time to react to dying, but with this card, you don't get this option. However, besides Finn McCool and potentially the Temple Guardian, there aren't many enemies currently in the game that do this. I can see this falling off as new chapters get added into the game. However, as of now, this is my pick for the best passive card in the game. Well, that's all the passive cards listed. Thanks for making it this far into the video. Even the best passive card, in my opinion, has some flaws. It just goes to show how well balanced the game really is. I have some other videos I made prior if you want to go check those out. As for future videos, I might not be making any more Blocktails content until Demo 5 releases, mainly since I have my own project I want to work on, but only time will tell. With that though, Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you soon.